Hello everybody and welcome to today's FileMaker webinar. My name's Mike Crook. I work for the marketing department here at FileMaker and I have with me Javier Sanchez, our product specialist.
Hello.
So in just a few moments, Javier is going to get started with today's session, which is all about navigation and searches within FileMaker. Before he does that, I'd just like to say if you have any questions during the course of the presentation, feel free to ask them using the questions panel that you'll find on the right-hand side of your screen, and we'll do our best to address as many of those as we can towards the end. That's all you'll hear from me until that point at the end of the session. So without any further ado, I shall hand over to Javier to get started. Javier.
Thanks, Mike. So let's start taking a look at the agenda. First of all, we're going to see how to navigate between layouts and records. So to start knowing where we are and how we can go from one mode to the other, we're going to show the different ways to view data. And then we will be exploring finds, more complex finds using operators. And I'm going to show you also how to sort data. So let's take a look at navigation first. And the file I'm going to be using today is this contact starter solution. Remember, you can always create a starter solution by going to File, Get Started, and you'll find a list of basic solutions, a few of them, like the contacts one we're going to be using today, inventory, content management, and tasks. But also, if you need advanced solutions, you can go here where it says See Advanced Solutions, and you can use one of these 16 templates, including a very useful invoices template here. These templates, they include scripting, all the layouts you need for different devices, and are a very good way to start. For example, if I wanted to create again this contacts starter solution, I will come to the top, create friends. Okay, so now it's using my solution because I have it. Bear in mind that you wouldn't have the data on the solution. What I did is after creating mine, I've imported all the data in. So now that we have our contact solution and we have data, what is a custom app? A custom app is basically a database, and a database is a file organized into tables. Tables are stored in records, and each record is a collection of information stored in fields. Fields are the things you see here. So the title, first, last, all these are fields, and these all belong to one table. These fields hold data and can be text, numbers, date, images, and many more. And all these fields that are here are now in a table, belong to one table in this case, and that table is linked to this layout. So this layout is linked to that table. So every layout in FileMaker, every view of the information has to be related to one table. That's one thing to know as well. Now let's see which are the working modes. And in FileMaker, we have 4 ways to work with the data and on the fields and the objects. The first one is the one you see now. It's called the browse mode. You can see all of those modes from the bottom left, where it says browse here. If I click, I can navigate between all of them. The browse mode is the mode where you can work with the data. So for example, I could change this name, and rather than Dave, I will call him Mike, and I will commit the changes. The next mode we can use is find mode. And again, I can use this bottom left bar, but also I could use the button on the top that says find to go to that mode. Or if I prefer to use the top bar navigation menus, I can use view and go to find mode from here. Also, if you're more advanced or you prefer using keyboard, you can use the Command B, Command F, the keyboard shortcuts to move between different modes. So again, I'm going to find mode, and in find mode, you can search for particular data. For example, I can search a company, Christian Oceans, for example, or a company that starts by care, and then I can perform a find, and I will get a message if no company has that name, or if it's KR, if a company will match, and I press on find again, I will get the matching records, and I will be on a found set. We'll see a bit more on searches in the finding bit of the session. So now, after finding, I'm again in browse mode, and I can tell because I can see it on the bottom left. Another clue for me to know where I am is that these buttons, the different tools on the top, are different. So if I'm in find mode, I get new record. Sorry, in browse mode, I get new record, delete record. But if I go to find mode, this has changed, and now what I can do is a new request or perform a find. So these buttons are different. The other working mode is called find mode, sorry, preview mode, the third one. And it's a mode where you can see if you're gonna print something or generate a PDF, you can see how it's gonna look like for that size. And the final work mode is called layout mode. Layout mode is very important because in layout mode is where we can change the user interface for every layout. From here, we can create new layouts, so new views for the data, new representations of the data, and we can move fields around, we can create or delete labels, and we can create new fields with the different tools. Take a look at the top of this file now, and you can see that these buttons have changed, and now we have buttons to work with the user interface, create text, and create different objects that will help us organize the data on the user interface. Also, we have different objects, like, for example, this inspector here to format the data, and we have a field picker, which is a tool that allows us to work with fields and create or delete fields for this table. So for example, I'm going to create a new field with a plus. I'm going to call it date of birth. And I'm going to, from here, I can change the type of the field, and I want a date, obviously. And then I can drag from the inspector the field to the user interface, to the layout. And I can, for example, I know the label here is not visible because it's from the same color. So I can do things like changing the color to labels or objects. So now it's visible because it's black. Also, using the inspector, you can format the data and work with the fields. For example, I know that there is a control style for date fields that is called a drop-down calendar. So it will be easier for a user to pick up a date. And I can even include an arrow to show the calendar. Okay, so if I exit the layout now, I will go back to browse mode. So let's work a bit more in this mode, in browse mode. Let's talk a bit more about browse mode. Browse mode, as I said, is the mode to work with the data, to change the data, to work with it. But also, it's got three different views to represent it. This view you see now is called the form view. It's a record per record view. So I can just navigate within the different records and see, for example, Peter's telephone number from his profile. Also, we got list view and table view, the other two modes. By default in this layout, for example, they are disabled. But you can enable and disable these views if you want, just by going to the layout mode. So now from browse mode, I'm going to move to layout mode. And I'm going to use this tool, the pencil here, next to the layout name, to edit the layout setup. I'm not going to get to all the menus, but I'm going to show you the one we want now, which is views, the second one, where I can enable or disable these different views of the data. So I'm going to enable list view and table view. And then I'm going to go back, for example, from here to browse mode and save the changes. Now I can click over this button in view as list, and I've got a list of all the records in my found set. Okay, so if I perform a search, I will see only the matching records. And the third view is the table view, which is probably a view you are quite familiar with because it's a spreadsheet view. So you see columns and you see rows, and all the data is here. Plus, you can work with the different fields and get options, sorting options, and even charting options from here. So these are the basics of browse mode. Now, if you want to change the record like I was doing, you can use this top left tool which is the navigation bar. So you have the arrows to go to the next record or the previous record. You have also this slider here that you can move faster if you want to just go to the last record. And if you're in a found set, this is very important because, for example, let's search for something quickly. Again, Christie's auctions. I got 5 matching records. If I want to see only the ones that do not match, I can just click on here, and I will see only those records that are not in the found set, so the opposite. So I will see the other 52. Okay. So I can do a not search with this. And then I have this button to go back to see all records, view all records. So the next thing I wanted to show you is how to create a new record. It's very simple. You have this plus button here, new record, and then you can start typing in all the information that you want on the record. No reflector is crashing. So for example, new contact, the name, and then if you want to delete a record, it's very simple as well. You have a button to delete a record, or you can go to records, delete records. So I'm gonna delete this record in particular, and then you get to the same font set. If we were using an iPad and we were, or as a different person were connecting to the database using a different FileMaker Pro, a different computer, the first person editing and creating a record owns the changes. So until that person finishes, the record is locked. So not 2 people at the same time cannot modify the same specific record, but can be modifying a different record on the database. Let's come now to work a bit with. So until now, what we have seen is how to navigate between layouts, how to move between the different records, and the different ways to display and view the data. Now we're going to talk about finds. So we're going to go and use the find mode using the button. And we're going to start with a very simple find. We're going to start just by typing a company name before here, and then when I click in perform find, it finds matching records with Christie's auctions, as I did before. Now, I could do exactly the same if I was on that particular record. For example, now I have all the found set, and I'm on this company. I want to see how many people or how many contacts I have from this company. Rather than going to find mode, I could right-click on company on this field and find matching records, which would be a bit faster for me. And it will find exactly the same information. So records that has Christie's auctions in the company field. Another type of searches are and or searches. So it is helpful at times to find data that is based on multiple fields. For example, finding all contacts that are artists at ranking studios, and this can be done using the find mode, just by entering the criteria in each of the fields that you want to search for. After you have performed the search, the results will be matching all the criteria that you entered. This is what we know as an AND search. But on the other hand, sometimes you want to search for people who are family or friends. Rather than using multiple fields in a single search, what you would do is perform a different AND search. So you can use multiple find requests, and then you will be performing an OR search. So let me show you how it works in practical. So for example, I want to find people that are from Westside Antiques, or ranking studios, let's say, ranking studios, but also that are in their job title, they have artists. If I now perform the find, I'm doing an AND, company and job title. And I will find all the matching records that are ranking studios and artists. What if I want to do an OR find? It wouldn't work if I put company and company, 2 company names here, right? So what I will do is I will search one company. For example, I want to know who was for Christie's auctions again, and that's a new request. So you can see how in the top left it has changed. So they work on that company or on another company, for example, Williams Design Studio. So I have two different requests, and I could put more searches here. So I could combine an AND search with an OR search if I want. And then when I perform the find, I'll see all the matching records. As you see, they are from one company or from the other. Right. The next thing I want to show you on finding is how to extend and constrain a found set. So let's say we have we were looking for friends in our group of contacts. So let's perform a find on a group called friends, right? And after finding the friends, so we have 13 matching records. We want to find also, we realize that we have also another group that is personal. So you want to include them on your search as well, not only the friends, but also the personal, because the personals are also friends. So what you can do is go into requests. So go back to find mode, select request here on the top navigation menu, and select extend found set. So I'm going to change the group here to personal first, and then from the request, I'm going to select extend the found set. So what it's going to do is going to work with the existing found set of 13, and it's going to add to that the new find, rather than just finding across all the records again. You can see now I have 26 on my found set, and if I scroll between them, you see they are personal or friend. Okay, so how to do the opposite? So if I have a found set, how to constrain it with a different request? So I will go again to find mode, and I will type, for example, a company name, West Side Antiques, and I will perform the find. That's first of all. So I have 5 contacts. Now from these 5 contacts, let's say that I want to know only who is working as an assistant there. So again, I will go to find mode. I will select on in job title assistant, and I will go back to request. But in this case, rather than extending the found set, I will constrain the found set using my searching criteria. Okay, so everybody is assistant in this case on this found set. Okay. So another very useful tip to know when you're doing searches and finds is finding empty fields. So for example, I can see that I have some empty fields in some cases, but mobile looks like I got the mobile from everybody. So I want to make sure that I got mobile numbers for everybody on my contacts list. I'm gonna go to find mode. For example, this time from the bottom, changing to find here, which is exactly the same. And what I will do to find empty records is just typing wherever I want an equal sign. So in this case, it's going to look for mobile numbers that are empty. No mobile numbers are empty. So let's empty a few. So I'm going to delete a few mobile numbers from here. And I'm going to perform the find again. So I'm typing the equal and mobile just to find empty ones, perform find, and you can see that now it's found the 3 that I have deleted, 3 out of 57. Now, what about the opposite? So I know how to find empty fields, but what if I want to find which ones are not empty? So for example, in this case, I've seen that the personal phone is empty everywhere. So if I want to see if I got the personal phone from someone, what I can type here instead of an equal symbol is an asterisk, and then perform the find. In this case, it says that I have nobody, I don't have the personal telephone number of anybody, so I'm gonna just add some random phone numbers here, even if it's the same, some contacts. So now I have a few people with 3 people with a personal phone. So let's try again. Find mode, and I'm going to type an asterisk here, personal phone, it should find those 3 records. And as you can see on the found set, now I have 3 out of 57, so it does work. Okay, we're working now with information that is empty or if it's exactly matching some names, but we can also find partial matches. For example, I could be willing to know how many names to start by M, for example, in my contact list. So what I can do is do a find and start writing the letter M on the field, but then rather than ending up writing a full name, I can just use the asterisk. So it means it starts with M and has something after. So now if I perform the find, I've found 5 contacts whose name starts by M. So Max, Mike, Megan, Michelle, and Maria. The other option would be finding names that contain an M, but not necessarily are starting by M. So what I can do, as you probably can imagine now, is using the asterisk. Rather than using M and asterisk, I can start using asterisk, then using the M and then an asterisk, which means some letters, M and some letters. So Max, of course, starts by M, will be there, but also now it's finding Jeremy as well because it has an M in the middle. Okay, so it's finding both, the ones that start by M and the ones that contain an M. We can also, now that we have here a field date of birth that I created before, we can also work with dates. So for example, we can find fields using a range of data. Let's say we want to know people that were born after the 80s. So first of all, I need to populate some fields to have an example. So let me just add a date here. Let's say this person was born in 1978. Let's add another date here for 1982. I'm going to copy that to a few more records. So 3 people over the 80s, and then one more from the 78s. So now, if we go back to the find, we obviously we're going to be searching on the date of birth here, but we can use an operator. So what I want is to know people that are born after the 80s. What I will use is the greater than symbol, and then I will type the date. So for example, 1 the 1st of 1980, and then I will perform the find. As you can see, now the matching records here showing me 3 out of 57 are the 3 that I typed as 1982. And the other thing to bear in mind is it's not finding any empty record. It's only finding the ones that contain a date. Okay, so it's not taking care of the empty records for this. Now, if I was searching for greater than the 1st of 1977, it will include also the other 2 records where the date was 78. It's very, very simple, very easy. Right, so now that we know how to find data, the other thing is sometimes we don't want, I'm doing finds now that I have 5, 6 records, so it's very easy to browse between them, but sometimes you have millions of records and you may find 100 records, but you're actually interested in 1 or 2. So what you can do is you can use the finds to find exact data. So you can find either the exact word match or the field match. Right? So for example, let's use the address because it's empty here, so it's going to be easy for me. Let me just close this because it's distracting me on the background. I'm going to add, for example, avenue, the word avenue in this record. I'm gonna add avenue as well, but different words at the end to this record. So I have two addresses that contain the word avenue. So first of all, if I want to find records that have the word avenue and it matches the word, I will go to find mode and I will use the equal symbol. So equals avenue will find any record that contains the exact word avenue. So if I perform the find now, I got two matching records, avenue and avenue infinite. What about if I have the need of finding the exact word? So I don't want to find two records because this one has got infinite. I just want avenue. What I can do in that case is doing the find as well, but I can use a double equal. So it will omit any other record that doesn't have exactly those words. So avenue will find only one record, avenue. And also if I do equal avenue infinite, right, it should find only that other record, not the first one. Right, so these are all those things that you can use. And now if I come back to find mode, apart from the examples I've used today, you can also use the different operators by clicking over operators. So you have all these operators I've been using today, and you've got others like less than or equal. You've got also the add for any other character, any one digit. So you can, if you don't remember, you can always look at the operators here and use them. And apart from the find mode, so this is work mode, you can also use this top right search, which is the quick search. So basically you can type anything. Let's say I want to find professionals. It will search amongst all the fields that are active for the quick search, and it will show me all the records that contain professional on a field. But it's important to note what it's doing is searching between all the fields that are active for enabled for quick search. So it's gonna show me professional sometimes if professional appears also, let's say on the company name, right? So let's add, for example, in this company, it says this guy is a friend. So I'm gonna add professional on the company name. If I do, note that we have 26 matching records now. So if I do the search again, it will find also that record as well. My friend, you see it's on the found set. How to know which fields I'm searching on? If we go to layout mode, so we need to change mode. That's something that you can control using layout mode. So I'm going to change from the bottom left, the mode to layout mode. And then here you can notice that all the fields have got like a green magnifying glass. This means that this field is enabled for quick find. You can control that by using the tool called the inspector. So here on the top right, the little eye. So what you can do is using the fourth tab, so you have different icons, using the fourth one, going to behavior, there's an option that says include field for quick find. So by disabling this option, you see how the magnifying glass goes away. It means when I search, I will not be searching with a quick search on this particular field. So that's the way to enable or disable quick finds. Yeah. So for all the others that are enabled, if I type a word, it will look into all the records in my table to find that particular word, and it will display that record as a found, as a match, as a found set. Okay, so this is what I wanted to show you on finds. Now let's take a look at sorting. So sorting is very simple. It's a button here that you can click, and it brings you a sort records dialog, and then you can include or not different criteria from your fields on the sort order. So you can add fields, additional fields to your criteria, for example, initial and first, and then you can decide whether this field in particular is going to be sorted on ascending order, descending order, or a custom use order based on a value list, for example. You can also click on unsort, and it will unsort all the records. When all the records are unsorted, so there's no sorting criteria, they will be sorted, organized according to their creation time. So the first will be the first created, the last will be the last created. So let's make sorting a bit more obvious. Let's go to layout mode, and I'm going to create a new layout quickly. Based on computer, for example, it's going to be a table view. Close this. Table view, and based on this table, contacts. And I'm going to show title, all these fields, well, almost all of them. Okay, so I got all my fields here on a table view, and I want to sort them. So I could use the sort button here in table view. So first they are unsorted. Now I want to sort only for first name, for example, right? So I go to sort, select first, and I want ascending order. So just by clicking on sort, it applies the sort and it starts by the A till the S. It's the last letter I got. If I change in the sort this criteria and make it descending, as you can imagine, the first is going to be the S on the top, right? So it's very, very simple. In the particular case of using table view, you can also go to a particular field, like for example, last, and just directly select sort ascending or sort descending. So you don't have to go through this menu. Sorting is very, very important when you're doing reporting, but also if you want to build charts. So let's say, for example, I would like to build a chart by city. So I want to know from my contacts where are they working, right? So the first thing I need to know to create a chart by city is sorting by city. And then after I sort by city, I'll be able to chart by work city. And I will see a chart that I can change. For example, I see that it's not going to read very well, so I can change the type of the chart, for example, for a bar one, and it will allow me to analyze the data. So I can see that many people works in Scottsdale from my contact list. And I can even save this as a new layout on my system, right? So talking about saving this as a new layout, another thing we didn't speak about is how to navigate between layouts. So there are a few ways to navigate between layouts. You can use this menu on the top left where it says layout. You can just click on the drop-down list and go to the different layouts. But also you can have buttons that you can create yourself. So for example, this arrow here, or this contacts word here, that will drive you. So if you want to control where your users are going, you can put buttons on the user interface, and using scripting, you can redirect them to the layout you want. So for example, from here, I can go to contacts. If I want to see a particular contact, I will click on the arrow and I will go to that contact profile. All this you can change by using layout mode and creating buttons and scripts. So this is a button that contains a very simple script step, go to layout contacts. Right, okay. So that was the last thing I wanted to show you. Apologies, I couldn't show you the same things on the iPad, but just to let you know, FileMaker Go works on a very similar way. So the same, you'll find on the client the same buttons to navigate. So it's very simple. The only thing added feature is that you could use two-finger swipe navigation to go to the next record or the previous record just by swiping on the screen with your two fingers. So thank you for your time today. Now, if you have any question,